Hi everyone, this is Devleena welcoming you all to another exciting episode of Icons Behind Brand, where we talk with the eminent figures of marketing industries. And I'm happy to announce our guest for today, Mr. Pavan Kaushik, who has worked in many leadership roles focusing on brand building, PR, CSR promotions, innovation, communication, and with over 30 years of rich experience, Mr. Pavan has worked with various industries and companies like DS Group, Hindustan Zinc, and currently working as a vice president and head of corporate communication and PR at M3M India. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Pavan.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Devleena.
Yeah, it's been a while. I actually wanted to talk to you on various experience which you have gathered. So finally, here you are. So I'm so
Yeah.
and before we get into the actual conversation, our viewers and listeners would love to know about you as a person, Mr. Pavan. Over 30 years of experience, huge experience. You have worked with various industries. We would love to know about your journey and the background.
See, very early I started my career. It was in 1988 when I joined CAPART. CAPART used to be a body of agriculture technology. So I joined
Okay.
there as executive officer.
Mhm.
89 I qualified UPSC, and at the age of 23 I became a gazetted officer. To be very honest,
So
I
early.
didn't even have my proper mustache also that time, and people used to wonder, such a young boy, he is a gazetted officer. That used to give a lot of hype, but within 1 year, when I was posted as head of South, Karnataka, Kerala, Andhra, Tamil Nadu were under me for Government of India publicity. And that was a time I realized that in government, you have to take the responsibility at a very young age. I had some very strong assignments in South, was going under a lot of change,
Okay.
especially Tamil Nadu and these areas.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to organize international film festivals at that time. Besides that, I had to launch AIDS awareness campaign in South. National Integration Community Harmony campaign was ready. We were simultaneously working on Pulse Polio campaign also. So that was a time for almost 3.5 years. I was in South. And then I came back and we formed a very different department in INB ministry for the first time.
Okay.
That was coordination cell.
Coordination
This,
cell.
I was heading that department as assistant director, and the job of this cell was to deal with all VVIPs in the country, primarily in the government sector. When you say VVIPs, are all member of parliaments, MLAs, chairman of the standing committee, estimates committee, these kind of all public accounts committees, election commission also. At that time, Mr. T.N. Session was the election commissioner at that time, chief election commissioner. That was the journey. Working for almost 10 years, 11 years there in INB ministry. Came back to NIFT in 1999 as media head. And I launched fashion communication department in NIFT. I had few mandates. One was to streamline the placements, and secondly to teach journalism there. Then launch fashion communication department. Then slowly we made NIFT as a deemed university. And in 2007 I moved out to Vedanta Group. And as head of corporate communication, I was posted in Hindustan Zinc in Udaipur. I think Zinc was one tenure where we did a lot of infrastructure work. 5 years I have handled directly the new market development of zinc, lead, and silver, and it was a very big thing because we were expanding in production, and India is a deficit consumption country in terms of zinc. So we had to create a new market. So we were searching for new markets as automobiles, railways, agriculture, rebars, etc., etc. That is where I did an intensive 5 years campaign, and we could get very good results. And working for almost 13 years, I came to FEMI, is Federation of Indian Mineral Industries. I joined there as Director of Communications. The focus was to rebrand mining industry and bring focus on iron ore mining. There were a lot of issues going on in iron ore mining. So worked for almost 8 months there. Then I joined DS Group again in the same line. Then about working for almost 18 months there. Then I came to M3M. So M3M is like almost 8 months old now. Taken over as vice president and head of corporate communications and PR here. It's good going right now. Primarily, I have a background of basically an economist. I've done my post-graduation in economics, and I have done my management in advertising and PR. I've done a program in manpower research methodology. Recently, have been awarded by top rankers as the role model for corporate communication, marketing, and PR.
That's great.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And a good work in terms of social sector, particularly women empowerment, nutrition, food safety, industrial safety. They are big campaigns. where I've involved also the union ministers and retired judges, the IPS officers, etc.
Mhm.
So far, this is the journey.
Superb, superb. And I see recently you have worked on establishing functions, and you have achieved a lot of milestones in your career, like big milestones in your career, establishing the new functions and all. And I see you have a very prominent role in CSR functions as well, Mr. Pavan, right? So I'm just curious because this is a subject which is, I'm very much interested. So I will not leave you without talking anything on CSR. So can you, throw some light on how CSR is working or aligned with the marketing function?
See, in India, people do recognize business, but they know the difference between being an industrialist and being a businessman. It's not always about numbers. It's also about how you overall think about the society. Because this is the same society where who buys your products. So what is the impression they have about you is very important. And this is where you have to focus on social responsibility. You have to focus upon philanthropy. These are the areas where people would like to know that beyond business, what are your activities? Like you asked me, why am I involved in these social activities? It is not something which I do on a some salary or CTC basis. I do it because I feel that I have a responsibility towards the society. So this is how it works. For the industries also it is same. If you are into business, then you have to take care of the society's basic needs. Water is there, sanitation is there, education is there, nutrition is there. You are in a country where there are areas where you can really contribute. So be part of the country, think good about the country, and make your plans in such a way that you add to all the social development initiatives which are being run by the government. You become partners in prosperity. So wherever I've worked, I had this focus always that industries should always be seen as from the same side of the table. As an industry, we should not sit on the other side of the table. Okay. We have a common agenda. We have a common agenda, whether it is infrastructure, real estate, FMCG, everything is linked with consumers. Wow. And these consumers are no aliens. They're all citizens of the country. So once you are looking after the citizen of the country, and government is of the same agenda, they better align with the agenda, social agenda of the government, because economic agenda is already aligned.
What is the difference in marketing strategies between FMCG brand or a real estate brand?
Let's put it this way. You go in a mall and you have to buy, let's say, some spices. Okay. Just taking experience from the DS Group. Your first visibility is when you see the spices lined up on a rack and you see variety of spices.
Yeah.
There's a formula which works on AIDA, which is simply AIDA. A is attraction, I is interest, D is desire, and A for action. So your first attraction is when you see something. Yeah. Your interest comes when you see the brand and you see the authenticity of the brand. Your desire comes when you see the price. You see, okay, this price I can afford. And then if your price is suitable to your pocket and you buy it, then the last A action takes place. Okay. So there are two markets in FMCG, especially if I talk about spices. There's an urban market and there is a rural market. The rural market is not very organized market. They buy stuff which has a lower price. And some stuff, they make it at their home. So they are self-reliant also, and they are buying it from market also. And similarly, in rural market, you will have the local vendors who would rather make the spices at home and then they sell it. So you have this. In urban market, it is very different. You can afford it. It is as per your taste. So marketing strategy is more of visibility, more of authenticity of contents, more of purity, and more of taste. I'm talking about purely on the spices part because that's where DS Group has worked. But when you come to real estate, it is value. It is value, which is a lifelong value. Spices you can change in about 10 days, 15 days. Even if you don't like it, you have that option of throwing away 15 rupees, packet, you don't like it, just throw, you don't need it. That's it, finish it off. Real estate, if you're not buying for investment purpose and if you're buying for staying residential purpose or a commercial purpose, then your equation changes. So if I have to buy a flat, I have my sequences of questions. I would say, where is it? My requirement is first. So I'll say 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, or 4-bedroom. So where is my requirement fitting into? So I'll see the place. Then how I can approach that place, the visibility and the vicinity. Then what is the accommodation type? But before all this, it will be coming, who is the builder?
Oh, yes.
And
Credibility.
the quality of the builder. You are not going to buy anything if you're not convinced about the quality of the builder.
Very true.
And to assess the quality of the builder today, you Google it once, then you speak to people who are already staying. You have some friends staying in those localities. And then you come to a conclusion that, okay, I buy it. Fine. Now, there are two ways it works. One is the advertising. Advertising is a paid medium. It's very clear. It's a medium that you want to you utilize to put anything that you feel is nice. You can do anything. You're paying for it, so you can make your ads blown up, full page, quarter page, full jacket ads, and whatever you want to do. But when it comes to in terms of authenticity, quality, then you want to go for the reputation, which is one-to-one, and reputation that you hear in the news medium. The news wire, whoever is covering the story may be smaller or big. But if you see a lot of positivity coming in the Google about the builder and about the construction quality, etc., and definitely some awards, recognized awards, then you build that trust. So marketing strategy here is more of credibility, reliability, durability, authenticity, transparency. That is how, because it's a lifelong decision. So both the strategies are very different. One needs consistency. When you go to FMCG, you have to be in the news all the time. Here, you don't have to be in the news all the time. Whenever you're launching a project, awareness is the key. And then the perception and quality comes through different modes of communication. So this is how the balance is done.
Do you think, what is your say about, using the content marketing to keep the conversation up with the customers? What is your say about that?
Any campaign, whether it is marketing, whether it is communication, PR, or I would say corporate affairs, because all have different roles in communications.
Right.
We cannot succeed unless and until they are strong content writers. So if one has to succeed in this profession, and whether in communication, PR, marketing, corporate affairs, their content knowledge, research, content writing skills, presentation skills have to be very strong. And this goes to all youngsters who are coming up who are making career in communication and PR, that just don't get into small Twitter kind of content writing, okay? And don't get into those 144 or 250 characters content writing. That is not content writing. Content writing is when you write long versions of articles, when you do long research papers, when you express and when you develop some thought processes about your products. Those content writing which are based on research will give you a lot of confidence in every communication, PR, marketing, or corporate affairs field.
Right. And I think it's a very good point, very strong point you have brought here, Mr. Pavan, that if you want to become a content writer, or content is not just about, writing a good grammar and grammatically it's all right. It's all about, what is the story you are putting it, what is your imagination, how you are, portraying it. And the maximum part is the research. How deep you have researched about that subject and how you are putting it across. So I think it's a great point to force upon and focus upon for young content writers and people who want to make their career in content writing. I always tell my team about this, that do not focus on how good you are in the grammar. Just focus on the quality of content, what we are putting it over there.
Very true. I'm telling you, this is really appreciable. I remember if I'll give my authored article for somebody to read, the youngsters particularly, my motive is that read this article and see how a thought process has been developed. Instead, they would start putting the a, comma, full stop, inverted, exclamation. This is not the, the reason I gave them this story to read. I've given them, that's okay, that's part of it. You can put those commas wherever you feel, it's fine. That doesn't add value or that doesn't destroy value of the article or a story. You have to understand how long versions of thought processes are developed. Otherwise, at one point, you will feel that you are not able to write content writing. Once the Twitter handle or a LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn posts are removed from your KRIs or KPIs, you will feel lost. And then you would not know how to put a title to a story.
Yeah. So I was just asking, how do you see the influence of technologies, which is, impacting the advertising and marketing side?
See, technology is there. India should be seeing very soon the advent of artificial intelligence and ML. I think this is a thing which is going to come very soon.
Yeah.
There was not so much of stress pre-COVID era, but post-COVID era, I think people have become a lot of savvy with the technology. I wrote about artificial intelligence in real estate.
Okay.
I was very clear that anybody sitting at home should draw a map saying that you need a sunlight from this window, you need a ventilation like this, your room size have to be like this, your drawing room has to be like this. It draws a graph of yours, and then that graph automatically searches the builder and the developer and the area where you find a suitable apartment as you ask for.
My God.
So
such minute.
And artificial intelligence should be able to check the quality of construction,
Okay.
The reputation, the durability in less area, earthquake resistance.
Mm-hmm.
It should give you a complete, the numbers. In numbers, you should be able to assess requirement. So in technology also, if I'm looking for a less, let's say in FMCG, if I'm looking for a less spicy, chilies and garam masalas and all that stuff, and I have a particular ingredient in my mind, and if I put that, I should be able to get the exact brand that, okay, this is the brand which suits my requirement. So there is a ML, machine learning is there, and there is an artificial intelligence. Not today, but let's say after 5 years or so, they are going to play a very big role in terms of making a decision from a customer's point of view.
There are a lot of things to reflect upon through the same. I mean, what you said, as a industry, as a business, we have the same responsibility also to give back to the community, because as a business, we are some or the other way getting a lot of support from the community. So this is the time to give back. And here, for our new business owners, startup owners, do you have any tips like how they can be aligned, or maybe they can shift a little inclined towards the CSR side? Anything on that? Because the beginners, they rarely think about it, but more in that side.
Okay. See, I've done a lot of stories on startups, particularly in terms of real estate. If anybody Googles the startups and unicorn searching space, they'll find a lot of stories which have been done by me. There are almost 64,000 startups in India, and almost 83 unicorns. The number is going to increase.
Yeah.
And together, if they see, they have a valuation of almost 277 billion USD, which means that they are there in the picture. And they are going to drive the country to the 5 trillion economy. So that is for sure. Now, the government has a 2%, portion of their EBITDA to go into CSR. Beyond this, there may be many companies who do not have turnover of 500 crores and which may not be covered under this category. But somewhere, pick up an issue which a government is addressing at this point of time. So you have some very lined up issues. India has a huge problem in terms of nutrition in children. Almost 1/3 of world's malnourished children live in India. India has a huge problem about the street children. They have child deaths, a lot of number is there. You have issues about health and hygiene. You have issues about sanitation. Government is doing its job.
Yeah.
Okay. But how in a small portion you can ensure that at least the area that you are covering is adding value to the government initiative? If they can identify those areas, that's more than enough.
Yes.
When I started my Khushi campaign, Khushi was never about accumulating money. Khushi was a non-funding campaign. We never asked for fund because we always had funds. Khushi was that if you can take care of education, nutrition, and health of the children who are of the people who are working at your home.
Okay.
My maid is there, my driver is there, or my car cleaner is there. If we can address the issues about their children, their education, nutrition, and health, you are actually doing something good for the society and also for the country. So for startups also, I have this very humble and very small message that pick up an area which is of your interest and which is also of the interest of the government, align with the district collector, take the government in confidence, draw a very doable, maybe a small workable plan, and then make sure that you take the ownership of that plan and then you execute it.
Super.
Your plan can be smaller for a 1 year, 2 year duration or a 5 year duration. Don't see money in this because my experience says with a very limited amount, you can do a lot of impactful work. Do that. If they need any advice, guidance as to how to go about it, I think they can contact people like us, and everybody would be more than willing to help them out. We are always there.
So, what are the principles do you rely upon during the toughest moments, toughest professional moments, and what drives you?
See, like I was saying that, tough time comes like the good time comes. My father always taught me one thing, that never surrender in when you have tough times. Never give up. Because if you give up, then you're finally surrendered to your life. So fight it out. It's only that in tough times, be transparent, be honest, and be straight. Don't bow down your head. If you are true, if you are transparent, if you have not done anything bad, and if you really think that you are true to yourself, then don't surrender and don't bow your head down. I have faced many tough times in personal, professional life both. But one, I have never given up on myself. I have always respected myself. I have never let myself down in my own eyes because I knew I was right. That was one part. Second part, I knew the times are going to change. And third is very important. I knew that I trusted my caliber. I trusted my own tools. And when the time was tough, I was actually sharpening those tools. That vacuum that I had, I was utilizing that time to giving cutting edge to my communication skills, my writing skills, content writing. And within those days, I have written a book. So I think anybody who is thinking that the life is going to be goody-goody, I think everybody knows that it's not there in mythology. It is not going to be there in future also. So be prepared for tough times. Utilize your tough time in sharpening your skills, because when you come back, people should not feel that you have been out of the mainstream. People should feel as if you are there and you were always there.
Just so happy that finally, we are here and you are here in the platform and added such valuable insights, learnings for our viewers and listeners, including me. I have a lot of personal takeaways from these conversations. And thank you for spending time with us and sharing such valuable insights with us, Mr. Pavan.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time also.